26th part of When You Fell for a Dangerous Man When Your Possessive Best Friend Was Obsessed with You. Author point of view. Jimin was staring at your face with his eyes wide. What you did shocked him. You took the arrow that was meant for him. Da, you will be fine, Jean. More than you, he was telling that to himself. Da, Jean. A loud screaming voice alerted everyone. Jungkook, who was about to attack Taehyung, was backed away by Jade, but he owned Jade mercilessly. The scream and his burst out eyes was traumatizing. Jungkook, you people killed Tess. Now get rewarded. Jade fell down holding his neck, his body writhing on cold road, and then stopped moving. Jimin, da. Taehyung looked at Jimin and he gestured him towards Mark, who was unalerted. Taehyung took the chance and handed you over to Jimin. He carefully wrapped his arms around you. Taehyung pounced over Mark and dragged him away in the air. Mark was strong, but Taehyung dug in a dagger in his. It was the same weapon that you used for Ava. Mark's eyes widened. He never expected that Taehyung could get a hold of that dagger. In a few seconds his body was fading away, but not in form of petals, but they were rotten leaves. Jimin pulled out the arrow from your shoulder and put his hand over the wound. He closed his eyes and was using his powers to treat you, but he was too weak. His all energy drained out. Jimin, please wake up, Yan, he pleaded while staring at your closed eyes. Jungkook's eyes narrowed at you and Jimin, and then his gaze darted to Taehyung. He noticed that due to death of Mark, the vampires were also fading away. Only team members were left. He did not feel weak, not even for a second. Jimin looked up and his heart clenched. Jimin, Taehyung, he yelled with all his energy that was left. Your eyelids moved that went unnoticed by him. He could not move his eyes from Taehyung, who was now. Jungkook had hit a balled up thing in his stomach. Taehyung looked at Jungkook with pain in his eyes. JK, sorry brother, I lost my first love, and so will you. He again hit him, and this time Taehyung fell down. Da, don't hurt Jan. JK, don't worry, you will not die. I just don't want you to interfere anymore. Now he was walking towards Jimin and you. Team members came in his way, but no one can stop him now. Shan, Jimin. You whispered his name and he felt alive. He looked down at you. Jimin, Shan. Grace ran to him with two men. Jimin, we need to hurry. Take Yan to the car. But Jungkook was over their head. JK, you people never learned the lesson. Jimin, you are already too injured. So give up. I really don't want to hurt you. Jimin's weak grip tightened around you. Jimin, no, I will not let you take her. Two men headed to Jungkook, and he twisted them in a second. Crouching down, his eyes met with yours. You shifted in Jimin's arms, and he tried to hide you. JK, it will hurt, Jimin. His warning look scared you. With a smirk plastered on his face, he pulled out the arrow from. Pain was unbearable. He screamed that cut your heart in pieces. JK, you enjoying this yarn? You sobbed. Your shoulder was near to fine, but the weakness had engulfed you. Jimin had poured all his energy to heal you, and now he was unable to save himself. Jungkook went for another arrow, but you held his hand. Shan, please don't. JK, sure, sweetheart. Taking your hand, he snatched you up. Jimin failed to stop him, as his own limbs were not working. JK, see, the end is what I planned. Standing on his support, you moved around your eyes. The were scattered on the road in that cold, foggy night. Your lips quivered when you spotted Taehyung unconscious. JK, he is alive. He took steps, dragging you along, and was jerked forward when Grace hit something on the back of his head. You looked back at Grace when Jungkook pulled himself away. She was breathing heavily, standing with a rod in her hand. Your legs folded down, and Jungkook headed to Grace. JK, wow. Fear crept up to her heart, seeing Jungkook unaffected. JK, seems like the treatment I gave you was not enough. Grace, the marks are still there. I will kill you, Jungkook. JK, try. Raising the rod, she stepped forward. He twisted her arm and she dropped the rod, letting out a scream. Your hand touched something and you looked at it. A knife. You took it and stood on your trembling legs. JK, no one can kill me, you silly girl. He spat while slamming her on the road and clasped his hand around her neck. You took small steps towards him who was over, choking her too. Jimin saw you and tried to crawl, but his legs did not move. When we fall for a human girl, she can kill us with any weapon. Those words echoed in your head, and your fingers tightened around that knife. JK, only my hands are enough for you. Grace was writhing, clawing his hand on Jungkook's. You stopped near him and in his back. His face cracked painful expressions and yelped when you pulled it back. Leaving Grace, he stood tall. Jimin, Jean, step away. He yelled, but you did not move and looked in Jungkook's eyes. When he turned towards you, JK, sweetheart, you again hit him, but he held your hand in the midway. He gritted his teeth while his arms froze your blood. Jimin, don't hurt her, Jungkook. He turned his head face towards Jimin and fell from your hand due to JK. Let me engrave it in your mind that you have only me, Jan. He pushed you right there on the road. You again tried to get to that knife, but he on your hand. Pain made you scream, but that pain left far behind. When you saw him, Jimin, get away, Jungkook. His voice cracked with helplessness. JK, I know you wanted that, Jan. I laying on the road, you saw him coming near while Jimin was screaming at him to stop. Leaning on you, you fig. His sand clouded your mind, and his touch felt like snakes crawling over you. You flapped your hands when and he was not backing away, and you were there out of breath. Someone pulled him back, and you rolled over, taking deep breaths to get in all the air. JK, shoo. That was Grace, and she was barely breathing. Jungkook hit his hand with a ball, and she fell down, taking her last breath. JK, nonsense. Turning to you, he smiled. JK, should we start again? He turned you to himself, and his eyes widened. When you ran the. It was a matter of seconds, and his huge body fell down. He loved you, and so you were able to take his life. You killed him, who was once your best friend. Standing on your feet, you headed to Jimin and sat down. Jimin, Shan, I did it, but we lost so much. Breaking in tears, you put your head on his, and he wrapped his arm around you. After a few seconds, you backed away. Shan, Taehyung. You stumbled to him and he was unconscious. Shan, his eyes are closed, Jimin. What do I do? Jimin, he will be fine. I will make its bonus part soon. Thanks for watching. Love you all.